Take us into the education bit. What schools did she go to? Does she write about them? Did she like the schools?
Yes.
That's our final part of looking at the book review.
Love, hate. So starting up, she indicates that she had a comfortable sort of upbringing. She wasn't wealthy like her half brother Eugene was, but it was fun.
Were they not living in the same house?
No, she was living in the same house with the brother and sister from her mother's first marriage. But in terms of the other children from the one, Mr. Nelson, she thought was her father. They weren't living together. And there was a bit of antipathy between them. So the Nelson children were a bit comfortable. She was not.
But she's Nelson too.
She's Nelson, but she had the name, but she wasn't living with the Nelsons. She was living with the Davies.
No, I'm getting confused. There were Nelsons who were connected to her mother.
No, not her mother, but the father. The one she thought was her
Nelson.
Father. Yes.
Had her family, had her children, had his children.
Yes.
And married her mother.
No, married a different woman. That's why it's confusing. That's why she herself struggled with it. She had her mother, right?
Yes.
And then she wanted to
What's her mother's first name? Does she mention in the book?
No, I don't recall seeing it.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting.
All right.
But
so her mother, yes.
Her mother is there. She has two older siblings who were the children of a Lieutenant Colonel Davies. So those children.
These children are her mother's children?
Yes.
The Davies children?
Yes.
Okay.
So their last name is
a
Davies.
officer.
Yes.
Okay.
So their last name is Davies. Her last name is Nelson because she thought her father was Mr. Nelson Oku. The thing is, Mr. Nelson also has children. And there was one child, actually, Eugene Nelson, in school. This started the whole thing, where a teacher asked them, are the two of you related? She thought, obviously not. But then she went and started asking questions, and the mother told her, yes, this man's father is actually your father. And then so she thought that that whole thing is there, and why is that he's my father? He doesn't take care of me, blah, blah, blah. So
she was living with who?
She was living with her mother.
Alone?
Yes, with her mother and then her older siblings.
Older siblings Davies?
Yes.
So how did she know Eugene Nelson?
They were in school together.
But they didn't live in the same house?
No.
Which school was
Martin de Porres.
St. Martin de Porres in Dansoman?
In Dansoman. She grew up in Dansoman.
Okay.
Dansoman. So started there. She wasn't really a quantitative person. She was an English person, social studies. That's what she liked. So she didn't really do well in mathematics. She wanted to go to Infantiman Senior High, but she didn't get it. She got into Quadri Agri AME Zion. Very, very long name. I don't know.
Oh, this one Agri Memorial Zion.
It's not.
As a bridge.
It's AME.
Okay. No, there's a bridge there when you're going to Cape Coast. Agri Memorial Zion. They understand. Don't worry.
It's
so it's not Agri Memorial Zion at the bridge.
No, it's AME Zion.
In Cape Coast town.
Apparently, it's in Central Region, but it's the same one. Okay.
Is it the same school?
It's
Agri Memorial Zion. The one on the bridge.
Zion. The Methodist one.
Did you go to school there?
No, but I'm from Central Region.
Where they have the blue block in the school. You know the blue block?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, the big one. Okay. So
it's the same school, Agri Memorial Zion.
Yes.
She wanted Infantiman.
She didn't get it because of her grades.
Okay.
She got 12 in BC, which was a bad grade for someone from him.
Okay. Yeah.
Martin de Porres.
12 at that time is bad.
Yes. So
for someone from Martin de Porres as well. That's
exactly. So for maybe basic school, public school, fine. So she wanted to do general arts. That's what she loved. But she was told that the program was full. So she had to do business, accounting, or get no senior high school. Her father was influential enough on the school board. He was the chair of the PTA to at least get her that spot.
Father who?
Father
Davies or Nelson?
Perceived Nelson. Davies has no affiliation with her.
Okay. She just knows
Nelson.
Davies' children.
Yes.
Who happen to be her mother's children.
Yes, because they are living together. That's
okay.
it.
All right, cool.
So,
but Colonel Davies doesn't live with them.
No. Apparently, it didn't work out. It didn't work out.
Okay, but the two children are with her mother.
Yes.
And they are called Davies.
Davies.
All right.
She got education she wasn't fine with. She didn't really do well on her WASI. It set her back. Well, to her, it was a very, very major setback because her colleagues were going to university, and then some of them started shunning her because they were in university, but she was considered a failure and all that. So she decided that by hook or by crook, whatever means necessary, she has to pass the subject she failed. It was accounting and costing. She had to rewrite them. So she passed one. She had to wait another year to write again. And then that's when Miss Ghana came up. So at the time, she wasn't a university grad. She didn't have university education. And it was intimidating because the people in Miss Ghana were either studying or had their degrees. And she was joining a group of people that she felt she wasn't really a monk. So that really captures her education experience in terms of where she started versus where she ended up. The answer to that title right there, I'm not Yvonne Nelson, it ends in that she actually does DNA tests to see that she's actually not related to Mr. Nelson. She's also not related to Mr. Ajete.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know who her father is.
But is her mother still alive?
She doesn't indicate that her mother died, so apparently she's still alive.
Her mother is alive?
Yes.
But so how difficult is it for the mother to say that?
She didn't want to talk about it. She always dismissed it for about 38 years of her life. It's eventually that she said, your father is Peter Alajete. She said it so casually.
She said it could be or is?
She said is, your father is. Then he said, that's all. Next topic. Yes. So it was so casual, and she was a bit upset that happened.
If I want to do an interview, is that woman I want to interview?
That would be
Yvonne Nelson's mother.
Yes.
That's the one I'd like to interview.
Lastly,
Wow.
it's interesting that this book comes out this year, the same year that Prince Harry's memoir comes out in January. It's just an interesting coincidence that the same year the tell-alls are coming.